Well, this is where I am today, and it's at Cley Hill, near Warminster in Wiltshire. And I'll put on the what 3 words location as well. And it's an incredible place, but it's just interesting to come here and try and give you a flavour of the wonderful mysteries and history of this Hillfort here. And as I walk up this boggy and sort of dirty track because of all the rain we've had recently on my way to Cley Hills, worth remembering that as a child I was in fear in this area. And why? Because of all the reports of UFOs. So as a child in the 1960s, unidentified flying objects were a big thing, and they were spotted up on Cley Hill and Battlesbury Hill and Cradle Hill, and they're going to have a reunion I think later this year at Cradle Hill. But it's fantastic to think that in the times of the 60s and a possibility of nuclear war, as children we were like, oh no, that's terrible thing. So that's just one of the things of Cley Hill. So spottings of flying saucers, and a lot of it was down to the local news editor, who's Arthur Shuttlewood, and he was a nice guy actually, and I think he was the editor of the Warminster Journal as well. But incredible that it sort of led to so much paranoia, and as children we were quite sort of worried about it in a strange way. And as I approach Cley Hill, you can imagine flying saucers flying over here, if such a thing exists. Well, at the moment I'm walking my way through the perimeter of Cley Hill, as I want to start from Little Cley Hill to get more of an atmosphere for it, and I'm out of the wind here, which is good. But you can see it's quite a mystical little spot here. It's quite lovely, and if you look up on the hill here, looking on up, you can see the lines of erosion there. Or was it when the ice went down that these ridges were left? It falls into 2 camps of people thinking about that. I'd like to think it was when the Ice Age. Dr. David Bellamy put that every ridge is 1,000 years of thawing ice. So it's quite incredible to look at that and think about that, really. And just on the top there, you can see one of the round barrows. There are 2 up there, and we'll carry on round. It's interesting to think that, isn't it? We've got Little Cley Hill just there, and then we've got Cley Hill here. So there is a mystery that goes along with this, with Cley Hill here behind me, is that the devil was on his way to Devizes and was going to bury Devizes with a sack of earth. He struck up a conversation with somebody, as you do. Hello, are you the devil? Yes, I am, and I'm going to go and bury Devizes. Well, he said, don't bother burying Devizes, it's a terrible place. I know, but it's still a few miles to go. So the devil, after he'd been walking years, supposedly, dropped his sack of earth here. But I think the moral is that that tale comes from, more than anything else, a development of Christianity at the time, and a fear of the devil and everything else, because this hill was formed by the Ice Age. And looking at this little bit of erosion here, you can see the amount of flint that there is within the hill itself, and also sandstone as well. And I'm now walking along one of the ridges, which is a bit hairy, on my way to the Little Cley Hill, and then later on to the Hillfort. At the base of Cley Hill are these strip lynchets, medieval farming terraces used by the Saxons, and I like to think, really, looking at this area, that these have Roman origins, being terraces and everything else. So I'm now on the top of Little Cley Hill. I'm going to follow the track that you can see up in front of us there, up to the summit and the Hillfort of Cley Hill. And gosh, it's a steep climb up here in this horrible rain. Don't have to pick my moments, don't I? So we'll get back together again at the top. So that was Little Cley Hill, which I found quite interesting, being Neolithic, and really one of the starting points of everything. Here's the LiDAR image of the Hillfort. I'm on the eastern side where the X is, and you can see basically the first of the ramparts here, but the natural defences were plenty enough really, so I don't really know why these were built, but it's a great place. I'm just sheltering from the wind and the rain before I carry on. Not much shelter, quite wet, so I think I'll just carry on. I'm now on the summit of Cley Hill and looking at the trig point. The rain is absolutely teeming it down at this stage, and you can see that in the puddle underneath the trig point there's the wind's blowing it around and making all sorts of little patterns there, which is quite nice. And soaked through at this stage, I'm going to head over towards the round barrow over here, which is 4,000 years old, or obviously if you look at it another way, 2000 BC, and it's an incredible thing. And there's another one just behind it as well, and this was dug by Sir Richard Colt Hoare and William Cunnington as well, who were archaeologists in the 1800s, and they were a bit disgruntled when they dug these barrows to find that they'd already been dug and anything had been taken from them. And we'll have a look on top of the barrow, and you've got an incredible thing here. We can actually see the dimple where they dug, so that's evidence of where they actually dug. And we'll have a look at the other round barrow just behind in a moment, but just scanning around now and looking at the area and looking across, you can see these are all built in prominent positions, and we've got the view going all the way around us 360 degrees. If it wasn't for the rain, we would have a bit of a better view. You can see for miles from here, and it's just an incredible area to be in and looking around back to the trig point where we were, and on round towards the Froome direction, just about there, and then the Longleat Forest here, and just over the other side of the hill is the other round barrow. So we're going to have a quick look at that and see what we think, and see if we can see a small dimple in there. It's not as evident, I don't think, on this one, but yes, it's still there. So there's a small dimple showing that that has been dug in the past. Now we're at the quarry on the other side, on the rampart of the old Hillfort, Iron Age Hillfort, and just walking along this still survives, even though a lot of the chalk was quarried from the area. And it's possible to think, just walking up here, of the people that were here before us, obviously, and how it was defended, but also the skies, the views around are incredible. And the whole thing of UFOs you can understand, and it's entirely possible that people may have seen things that they can't identify, but still a wonderful part of the history. I've come down in this dip now, in the quarry, out of the worst of the wind. What have I learned about it? Well, I've learned that we've seen a Neolithic area that was used for working flints. We've seen the round barrows, which are really interesting, and we've seen where Richard Colt Hoare dug into the top of those, along with Cunnington as well. So there's that. And also too, it is absolutely hammered down with rain. I'm soaked through, but from a UFO perspective, I can't prove it or disprove it, but it adds some mystery to the area and makes people come and have a look at it. It's controlled by the National Trust. It's a lovely place to come, and I hope that you'll come again soon if you've been here before. If you haven't been here before, that you'll come and have a look at it. So until the next time, goodbye.